Hello, everybody. I am Steph. Welcome to Shame to Shine. I am so excited to be here today with Aakanksha Agarwal, who is a journalist and has not just one, but many, many beautiful stories as we were talking about this series. There really are a number of stories anyone can share, but thank you, Aakanksha, for joining today.
You are too kind, Steph. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. So this series is really all about shame to shine. And what does that mean? That is, what does it look like for women and for empaths who take on stories that are pretty much some iteration of I'm not good enough? What does it look like to be able to kind of heal or alchemize or transform that story into becoming a source of
Right.
community or compassion or radiance. So those are the
Right.
themes that we're seeing. And Akanksha, will you share with us what is the shame story that you're going to dive into today? That what iteration of I'm not good enough are you going to dive in today?
The central theme that comes with any kind of immigration countries, you feel a sense of displacement. When you move from one country to the other and move for college, a lot of my cousins, my friends came to the United States for college. But I actually moved when I was 29. So you are a fully formed adult. You don't kind of like, when you're in college, there's so students. It's very easy, your identity, you're a student. It's very easy to form an instant sense of community because people are there for the same thing. There's a sense the other people who are on this path with you. Uh, my husband across the world. So along with that, I felt I did not know. It took me was feeling, but I feel there was a deep sense of loss of identity,
Mm,
and that translated into many different ways. Um, you know, as a celebrity stylist back at that time, functional adult, and here you suddenly don't have a driver's license. You drive on the different side of the road. I did not have a work visa when I first moved to the US. So there were so many changes. And along with that, I feel there was a lot of internalized shame
mm,
for a lot of things. And that's where I would say things truly, I started feeling like a sense of displacement,
mm.
professional life. Yeah.
Displacement in your personal and professional life
Yes,
around.
yes.
Yeah, and that
When I was working in Mumbai, it's just people, people, people everywhere. So there's constant white noise. And when I moved, which now seems like a beautiful big city, seemed like a really. I used to tell my husband, "Where are all the people? Like, there's nobody on the roads." It felt really, really lonely in
mm,
those first few years.
mm.
Yeah.
And I hope that it's just my connection. You broke up a little bit when you said where you first moved to. What city did you first move to when you came to the US?
To Seattle when I first.
Seattle. Seattle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is pretty spread out compared to Mumbai.
It
That's
used to feel like a small village at
okay.
that time, and now now I feel like a deep sense of connection with Seattle, but that did not come instantly.
Mhm.
It took some time to build to it. But in those moments, those initial days, I did not really realize what I was going through, but I'd left a really beautiful, sparkling career behind, all my friends and family behind. Everything that comes with growing up in a place for almost 30 years, you lose all of that and you start fresh all over again. So that sense of shame kind of translated into making myself small and try to fit into spaces. It in the first few days of in the first few years of my professional career, I remember an email that some else and they did not know I was on that thread. And that person said, yes, that's really her name.
Mm,
And I don't know why that really stuck with me. Um, and after all these years, I recently a professional trip, and the owner of a big resort told me that I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name. And there were five or six other journalists with me. And instead of saying that's okay, sometimes I would give people my nickname, which is pronounce. Instead of saying that, I found myself saying that, you know, I will help you through it. I'm sure you can do it. I have full confidence in you. And I did not know when this shift also happened. Like I said, I did not know when that displacement happened, when that loss of identity happened. And I did not know again when that regaining of that sense of identity happened, when regaining the confidence happened. But it happened. But in that moment, it crystallized for me that I feel that sense of identity again. I feel that sense of confidence again. And it was a really good feeling to feel empowered.
Yeah.
And yet there was no process. It just happened. Maybe there was a process, but
Well, I'm so glad that you're sharing this because the stories that we're hearing do have to do with this sense of internalizing a story that we're being told from the outside. So you're coming in to a totally new country, and it sounds like being told like you don't fit or your name is too hard to pronounce. A
yes.
lot of things around your name that is people not being open or ready, but how that then becomes internalized. And yeah, go ahead.
Translates into so many other things. For example, everyone has different accents, different pronunciations, but back here, somebody would be like, "Oh, do you go to the Himalayas?" And it's not Himalayas, it's Himalayas. But I would find myself intentionally mispronouncing Himalayas just to make the other person feel comfortable.
Mm,
No, I can say it exactly how it's said,
mm,
right? I don't need to say Himalayas, or I don't, it's fine.
mm. This
Yeah,
this
The
is
Taj Mahal. It's the Taj Mahal. And it's fine if somebody else is also saying the Taj Mahal because they don't know how to say Taj Mahal
Mhm.
the way they say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's huge. And it kind of gets into even a survival instinct of not wanting to other people to feel uncomfortable, but you've realized like, oh, I don't actually have to go out of my way
Yeah.
to make someone else feel comfortable. And I know you said that that happened, it just happened for you, where you made this decision of I don't have to go out of my way. And I am curious when when these things come up, what is your experience initially one of like a desire or a temptation to make that person feel comfortable and then you see it happening and you're like, no, I don't actually have to go out of my way, or now is it automatic for you?
Now it's kind of automatic because it can be a truly organic exchange,
Hmm.
right? I don't have to make the other person feel comfortable, and the other person doesn't have to make me feel comfortable either. We just have to respect each other in a conversation and be ourselves. Like, bring your authentic self to the conversation and maybe hold space and have that respect for the other person to also be authentic in that conversation. But you don't necessarily have to change yourself to change themselves, right? Two people can be really different and have a really good conversation. In fact, that might make the conversation all the more interesting,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the fear for people who are still in that space of like, well, I do feel like I have to change myself because if I don't, I will get the response that I don't want. And and you have gone through that enough times where then I'm wondering if you can share like if you had to let go of certain relationships or if once you started once you started having that boundary of I'm going to be myself, did the relationships you already had adapt, or did you have to kind of shift communities?
Relationships I already had adapted.
Mm,
That said, for me, I believe, I write a lot of immigrant stories. So I speak to a lot of different people doing phenomenal work across the city, across the country. And most of the stories, a really good story is when that person has really followed their own path or really done what they think they should do despite all odds. So I believe listening to some of those stories, listening to how people took charge of their own lives, kind of galvanized myself to do the same for myself. So for me, that shift happened organically, and I cannot pinpoint exactly where it happened, but I believe for anything you want to change, right? Um, Say for something as simple as I'm not drinking enough water. I want to drink more water. For anything that you want to do in your life, it needs to be intentional before it can become instinctive.
mhm,
So I might glasses of water every day. But if I set a reminder on my phone and make it a point to drink it every day, on the seventh day, on the 14th day, on the 20th day, it will become instinctive. I will reach for that water without that reminder. So I think when you know that you're trying to change a behavior that doesn't serve you anymore, or you're trying to let go of something, it's fine to set kind intentions, and check in with yourself. Am I sure that I want to do it this way, or should I do it this way? And soon that will become instinctive.
mm. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So I am curious for you how you think of yourself and your identity because you've chosen to really embrace who you are and to show up authentically. Do you feel like the shame around being different has and then the choice to act differently, has that transformed how you feel then in a social situation if you are different, do you, I guess the targeted question, I don't want to lead too much into it, but the targeted question is, do you now feel a sense of pride about who you are and what you bring to the table, as opposed to the initial sense of shame that was from the external coming in of being different?
Mhm. And I also feel if I feel a stronger sense of agency in everything
Mm,
that I do.
mhm.
It's fine if some people do not, if some people do not want to uh, be in my network or be in my community. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
So that acceptance is also important. Please everybody. It's fine. You don't have to please everybody.
Mm. Beautiful. So the acceptance of yourself allows you to then be in relationship with people who also accept and respect you.
Authentically. And I do feel like we live in a time when we are all kind of like afraid to offend the other person,
Mhm.
right? And I believe everything that I told you, it's a work in
Yeah.
progress, right? And a lot of times we might still say the wrong thing to people, and people might say the wrong thing to us.
Mhm.
I think it's really important to give yourself and the other person grace in these situations. Everyone's learning. It's fine to, if someone corrects you and you reflect on it and situation. Also fine if someone doesn't know or doesn't care to pronounce your name. You can correct them.
Mhm. Yeah.
It what I think what really matters is their behavior after they are corrected or told.
Yeah.
And are they okay? Maybe they didn't see the situation this way.
Yeah.
Everybody comes from such different backgrounds. They're so quick to take offense, so quick to situations. So if we just take that second, just kind of monitor our own response and return to a conversation with more grace, it might lead to overall just forming better connections with somebody you might not think you would form that connection with.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So we're going full circle from really accepting and embracing yourself and being okay with setting boundaries, still holding
Yeah.
space for other people to be wrong and to be corrected and just allowing that dance
Yeah,
of
we are all,
the
like, the more
relationship.
you realize that you're a flawed person and the other person is a flawed person, and allow that space to make mistakes for yourself and for the other person. And it's okay if somebody makes mistakes. It's okay if somebody says something that's politically incorrect. Maybe the person doesn't know.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's really nice. And then you see if the person is maybe open to change, instead of saying that this person said X, person said Y thing, and I'm done with this person.
Hmm.
Maybe take that moment to tell you're coming from and why you think, the situation can be seen differently,
Hmm.
and then see how they feel about it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world would so much benefit from this perspective of coming to life with an acceptance of self and even a curiosity about other people and a willingness to be ourselves authentically and let other people be themselves and still be in relationship. So I love this approach. And for listeners who are like, I want this too, you do journalism work, and people could, of course, follow your work to be more in this space. So tell us a little bit about if for people who are really interested in your vibe, how they can follow you and be in touch with you and even collaborate with you.
So, I write a lot of stories for Next Pittsburgh, for the City Paper, for Pittsburgh Quarterly. I do a wine story per year for Pittsburgh Magazine. So a good place to follow my work is to follow my personal Instagram. Steph, are you able to share a link?
Yes, the link will be here.
Fantastic. And I post a lot of the stories I do on my social media, and then you can go read on all of these different stories that I do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Is there any final words of wisdom that you would like to share on Shame to Shine?
Think any change comes from acceptance first, or knowing that there is something to be changed. So if something doesn't feel right, doesn't sit right with you, instead of brushing it off, maybe lean into that discomfort a bit.
Mm.
Sit with that discomfort a bit and see what this that discomfort is trying to tell you.
Mm. Great advice.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, Aakanksha, for sharing your story and your work. And we will have all
Thank you
these
for
links
having me.
below.
Thank you so much, Steph.
Take care.